Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan, overtly stated that television was the major mainstream infiltration for the new satanic religion. LaVey boastfully acknowledges the effectiveness TV has had in transforming us.
The TV set, or satanic family altar, has grown more elaborate since the early 50s, from the tiny fuzzy screen to huge entertainment centers covering entire walls with several TV monitors. What started as an innocent respite from everyday life has become in itself a replacement for real life for millions, a major religion of the masses.
Magic only exists if you allow it, if you open yourself up to the possibility of,
With a slew of successful movies under his belt, actor Johnny Depp confesses, "I know I have demons. I'm 30 different people sometimes." From Genesis and the Garden of Eden to the Book of Revelation, we have the divine record of Satan and his evil spirits channeling through other beings. In Genesis, Satan used a serpent to spin his age-old lies that humans can become God, that there is no death, and that one may expand their consciousness to realize such godhood through partaking of forbidden occult knowledge. It is not a coincidence that these same three basic lies form the foundation of the New Age movement today. Anton LaVey admitted that the heart of the New Age movement was really Satanism. He said,
"In the scores of books lining the shelves of New Age bookstores, there are instructions for guided meditations, creative visualizations, out-of-body experiences, getting in touch with your spirit guides, fortune-telling by cards, crystal balls, or the stars. What if Satanists reclaimed these for their own dark purposes and integrated them into rituals dedicated to the devil, where they rightfully belong? New Agers have freely drawn upon all manner of satanic material, adapting it to their own hypocritical purposes. But in truth, all New Age labeling is again trying to play the devil's game without taking his infernal name."
I am God.
I am God.
I am God. I am God.
I am God.
I am God.
after the advent of television, Satan was able to deceptively present his old venue to the public, and as a result unraveled much of the Judeo-Christian ethic in the West that took nearly 2,000 years to establish and brought about a paradigm shift to New Age thinking in only a few short decades. And who are in reality servants of Satan. Paul wrote,
"They have fooled you by masquerading, but I am not surprised. Even Satan can masquerade himself as an angel of light. So it is no wonder that his servants can also do it by pretending. In the end, they will get every bit of punishment their wicked deeds deserve."
To masquerade means to cover with a mask or disguise. The Greek word is used in the Old Testament in the Septuagint of the demon-possessed King Saul, who disguised himself by putting on other clothes when seeking a channeled spirit through the Witch of Endor. In Jesus' day, actors were people in the heathen nations who would put on masks of the false gods they worshipped in an attempt to portray them. The better they could portray a particular deity, the better an actor they were. They were the absolute best actors when they were possessed by that demon god and could channel for him, emulating his true character.
Danny Glover was Paul D. First day, when she says, "Paul D, is that you?" I couldn't even hold myself inside my body. It was unbelievable.
What we will see is that not much has changed from then to now other than the intensity and breadth of the movement to destroy the souls of men and women. Aleister Crowley, considered to be the chief Satanist of the 20th century, wrote of the best way to practice becoming possessed in his book Magic in Theory and Practice. Crowley writes, "There are three main methods for invoking any deity. The third method is the dramatic, perhaps the most attractive of all. Certainly it is so to the artist's temperament, for it appeals to his imagination through his aesthetic sense." He goes on to explain the dramatic method. In the third method, identity is attained by sympathy. It is very difficult for the ordinary man to lose himself completely in the subject of a play. But for those who can do so, this method is unquestionably the best. The foremost Satanists taught that the best way to experience demonic possession was to act in a play, or in our day's terms, a movie. Konstantin Stanislavski, considered by many to be the father of several modern acting techniques, including the method, resurrected many of these ancient ideas and has initiated countless actors and actresses over the last 100 years into these occult ideologies. Stanislavski stated that 9/10 of acting a role out was based on a spiritual experience in which the actor was to be transformed into someone else. Other popular forms of acting similarly involve occult principles whereby one is able to open themselves up to be possessed and taken over. As you shall clearly see, Hollywood is a breeding ground for the activity of demonic and lying spirits. The most famous celebrities of the 20th and now 21st centuries were and are being used to teach and reshape the moral compass of the world in preparation for the new age under the Antichrist. The whole reason for this video is in accordance with what the Bible says. Don't be partakers in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And that's exactly what this video is. It's an expose. It's to show people what's going on behind the scenes, because you're not going to see this on Extra or Entertainment Tonight or 60 Minutes. All this information right here are things that they're being kind of pushed off to the side or hidden from people. It says in the Bible that as Christians we're not supposed to be ignorant of Satan's schemes, but sadly many people are ignorant of Satan's schemes and how he works. Because the ultimate reality, again, Ephesians 6:12 says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but at rulers, authorities, and powers in the spiritual realms, in the heavenly realms. It's important to understand that Satan's MO throughout human history has been to work through people, what the Bible calls sons of disobedience, those who are in rebellion to God. Satan will use to draw others away from God and to harden their hearts against God. In fact, it's not just present day that we're talking about. We have to look back to see where this renewal.
And it was inevitable that the free love and liberated sex of the counterculture became keystones for the mainstream pop culture.
The 1960s witnessed a topsy-turvy occult infiltration based on the mechanics of Crowley's axiom, do what thou wilt. The 1960s movement specifically affected the youth of the country and spawned the eclectic hippie movement that has put on a different social mask in our day. After the foundation had been laid through the 1950s and most of the nation was ready for revolution, Satan turned up the heat in the 1960s and set into motion his plan of deceiving the hearts of the nation.
We're in the very throes of a new satanic age. The evidence is all around us. All we have to do is look at it.
After the Church of Satan was established, Anton LaVey opened a film office where he could instruct and guide popular filmmakers. LaVey specifically targeted Hollywood to become his primary means for satanic evangelism. Quick to participate, many celebrities were devout, outspoken supporters for the Church of Satan and its causes. Kim Novak, Jane Mansfield, Tina Louise, and Sammy Davis Jr. are a few who openly lent their fame to the satanic agenda in the 1960s.
We are superior by the imagination, the creativity that is the heart and the very soul of the Satanist.
Anton LaVey praised the work that celebrities have done for Satan's kingdom.
You've got quite a legacy of satanic writers, film producers, and directors who have made their own pacts. They've proven themselves to be cunning, wit, and courage beyond the best of their time.
These people that have sold their souls for fame, power, and fortune are being used to push the New Age philosophies, or as what Anton LaVey refers to as the new satanic religion. Sammy Davis Jr. was a notable actor in Hollywood and most well known for his then risque Rat Pack shows. Anton LaVey declared Sammy Davis Jr. was a dear friend and often put himself on the line when it was professionally hazardous to do so. He brought many influential persons into the Church of Satan and shared his own personal life with me. He was a sensitive, articulate, and very satanic individual. During his Rat Pack shows, Davis would use the stage as a podium to plug psychics and praise the mysterious messages he received through them from the other side. Another actress of the 1960s was Jane Mansfield. She also enveloped herself in witchcraft and black magic and was escalated to the position of high priestess within the Church of Witchcraft and Black Magic and was escalated to the position of high priestess within the Church of Satan. More than anything else, Mansfield wanted success as a movie star. LaVey recalled telling Mansfield that her dreams were attainable through satanic power. The devil has supreme power on this earth, he said. If you want anything here, the devil can give it to you if you join him. Mansfield became one of the most popular and talked about actresses of the 1950s and 1960s. Her movies were replete with risque sex and immorality for her day.
I wasn't a stranger to permitting my bust to be photographed. I had already done that. Here's the Playboy issue, which shows the movie I was in, Promises, Promises. It showed just about everything that Jane Mansfield had to show.
Mansfield sold out to the principles of the Satanic Bible and expressed them in her films. LaVey says Jane was very proud of the fact that if she liked something enough, she would commit it to memory. At the time, the Satanic Bible was still in monograph form. Jane had pored over those pages until she knew most of it by heart.
Happy.
Star Trek is a cultural icon, and it's part of the lexicon now.
Replete with New Age iconography, The Star Trek shows categorically deal with issues such as telekinesis, mental telepathy, atheism, psychic phenomena, channeling, mind transference, entities cohabiting the same body, and other occult themes and ideologies that were strung throughout the series. The creator of The Rage, Gene Roddenberry, is responsible for much of the current space-age mania that has become ingrained within the culture today.
Star Trek's a way of life, man. It's a good way of life. It teaches us all.
Not surprisingly, Roddenberry had zero regard for Christ and was dead set on establishing a new age of thought that countered Scripture with his cinema creations. In fact, Roddenberry recalled his Christian upbringing with disdain. I had never really paid much attention to the church sermon before. I was more interested in the deacon's daughter and what we might be doing between services. I listened to the sermon and I remember complete astonishment because what they were talking about were things that were just crazy. Roddenberry bought into the New Age lie that we could become gods and expressed these thoughts through characters and stories on his shows. Roddenberry said, "It's not the Judeo-Christian God. Creating Star Trek was a very spiritual experience. It's my world. It's that divinity in us that we call God."
Cosmic thoughts, gentlemen?
We were speculating. Is God really out there?
Maybe he's not out there, Bones. Maybe he's right here. Human heart.
The storylines that made Roddenberry famous were in fact given to him in conduit fashion from the demonic kingdom. Recounting his role as a medium, he states, "What happens is that I bring them out into this world, the world of humanity, and they take their place among them, among us. But I don't think I create them. They already exist. I just introduce them. That's really where the whole idea of Star Trek came from. I'm just a vehicle, a transporter." The secular philosopher Socrates insightfully explained acting's essential spirit contact and possession. In like manner, the muse first of all inspires men, because they are inspired and possessed. They are simply inspired to utter that which the muse impels them. For not by art or knowledge do you say what you say, but by possession. Socrates had a common understanding of the demonic power utilized by actors. This muse, or giver of creative inspiration, as shown through Socrates' statements, has always been perceived as a spirit. Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan instructs his followers and clarifies this fact.
Keep yourself constantly open to the demons who will whisper in your ear. An old meaning of demon used to be closer to muse, a guiding, inspirational spirit.
The muses, or demons, are still at work today. Alexandra Rose, the co-producer for The Other Sister, championed actress Juliette Lewis's ability to be totally taken over. Of Lewis, Rose says this:
"She just has that ability to transcend the reality of the moment and become the vessel for the muse. When she's acting, she is not Juliette Lewis. That to me is the sign of a really great actor. When you can let the muse take over, you look into their eyes and no one's home."
Kevin Bacon relates,
Part of acting is to lose yourself in the moment, to let the chaos or the muse come and just enter and happen organically.
Bacon also attributes his successful acting to
demons under the surface, and as an actor, you have to keep them bubbling.
The Matrix's Keanu Reeves, who talks of having taken what he calls demon rides, says,
"It's hard to act in the morning. The muse isn't even awake."
His series The Matrix is a hit with the youth and is filled with New Age preaching. Satan wants these philosophies to be presented in an acceptable light and is empowering Reeves to evangelize the children. Director Taylor Hackford revealed,
"Keanu is a very complex guy with lots of demons in him, and I was trying to tap and utilize that."
Anyone I've ever met. Harry's amazing.
Frighteningly, Satan's doctrines are taking root because people are not guarding themselves or their children against the schemes of the devil.
Wicked.
LaVey tells us how late in the game it is with our kids. He says, "There's no need for pacts with the devil anymore. These kids are already aligned with satanic forces."
Okay.
Our freedom! Do not stand in our way!
The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate! The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate!
The day is coming. We're going to like them. We're going to do them. We're going to take our freedom by any means necessary.
I will do whatever I have to do to stay free. If it's a choice between me staying alive and free and somebody else not staying alive, I'm willing to make that choice too.
We're young, we're queer, we're gonna rule the world!
I think it should be brought out that we not only condone, but we encourage all types of what would be called sexual perversities and deviations, because we feel that in a few short years it'll be established that everyone is a sexual deviant, pervert, fetishist.
We're happy to be here. We feel that historically we are part of this movement for liberation.
All all my life been attracted to younger boys. I love them.
How do I make myself attractive to boys?
We feel a person should be free to indulge in all of the so-called fetishes, all of the so-called admirations that they would so desire.
Through the decades, Hollywood has fueled the fires of this lie by peddling greater and greater waves of filth to numb our consciences. And like the frog in the proverbial pot, we are almost cooked. True freedom comes by turning from sin to Jesus Christ, who gives the abundant life. Jesus said,
"You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free."
We ought not to, according to the scripture, if we know that it's wrong. The Bible says what's not of faith is sin. And so if we can't watch something in faith and we can't watch it with a good conscience, we really shouldn't set it before our eyes. The Lord would not have us do it. Some people feel that's a bummer, like, well, there's only some things wrong. You know, with certain shows, there's only a little bit wrong here or there. There's a story of a father who taught a lesson to his kids one time. The kids came to him and they said, "Dad, we want to go see a PG-13 movie." And the dad said, is it clean? And the kid said, "Well, there's a few things that are wrong with it. You know, it's not perfect." And the dad said, "Well, then you probably shouldn't go see it." And they said, "Dad, it's only a little bit. It's only a little bit of stuff." And the dad said, "Okay, how about before you guys go, we bake some cookies?" The kid said, "Yeah, let's do it." So they bake the cookies, they whip them up in the bowl, and just before they put them in the oven, the dad goes in the backyard and he gets some dog poo from the backyard. He puts it in the bowl, he mixes it in there. He puts them in the oven, bakes the cookies, pulls them out, puts them on a plate, and serves them to the kids. And the kids say, "Dad, are you nuts? We're not going to touch this." And Dad says, "Why not?" And the kids go, "Dad, there's dog poo in these cookies. Why would we eat this?" And the dad goes, "Yeah, but it's just a little bit. It's not a lot, it's only a little bit." And oftentimes I think the Lord would say that to us. It's a little bit, but in other areas of our lives, we wouldn't even think about touching it. But it's easy to make exceptions and compromise sometimes with these things. Scriptures instruct us to
stop loving this evil world and all that it offers you. For when you love the world, you show that you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only the lust for physical pleasure, the lust for everything we see, and pride in our possessions. These are not from the Father. They are from this evil world, and this world is fading away, along with everything it craves. But if you do the will of God, you will live forever. Leave your confusing ways behind you and begin to live.
Parents, we need to guard our children now more than ever from these kidnappers of the mind and heart who smuggle death into their lives without remorse.
Can we tell our parents?
No! Even the one who claims to be the representative for Satan on this earth, Anton LaVey, proactively guards his son. When he was asked if he let his son watch TV, LaVey replied, "No. He can when he's old enough, if he goes into it warned." Does a Satanist have more scruples than a Christian parent who follows the Bible, which is the best written book for parenting ever comprised? God tells us,
"So get rid of all the filth and evil in your lives, and humbly accept the message God has planted in your hearts. And remember, it is a message to obey, not just listen to. If you don't obey, you are only fooling yourself."
Unfortunately, those who are entertained by spirits working through movie stars are being entertained directly by mediums. However, the Lord has set down specific, unchanging instructions for all of humanity. He warns against mediums, saying, "As for the person who turns to mediums and to spiritists to play the harlot after them, I will also set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people." God prohibits turning to mediums, not because he is a cosmic killjoy, but because he loves us and wants to protect us. Hollywood is nothing but a repository of lies. Mel Gibson says actors are all basically liars. Janine Garofalo says Hollywood is built on lies, conning the American public like politics. Director Brian De Palma says the camera lies all the time, 24 times per second. Marlon Brando explains how they are all liars. It makes me so sick. It's amazing, the people in the movie industry. The scriptures have foretold with amazing accuracy the growing rebellion against the faith that is culminating for the end times. Paul writes, "The Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons." We have already seen that the word for actor is hypocrite, and that they and their Hollywood institution are leading the world astray through their lies. How then will these demons get their messages out to turn away people from the faith and follow after them? The very next verse tells us, such teachings come through hypocritical liars whose consciences have been seared as with the hot iron. Hollywood is being utilized as an end-time propaganda machine of destruction as it teaches its demonic doctrines and lays waste those of God. This direct assault on God leaves you an active participant to one side or another. The scripture says that you cannot eat at the table of God and the table of demons.
It's accepted by actors and musicians. Everybody else will follow.
Everybody else.
Tonight and what the temple is doing, this is a celebration of true religious freedom.
Experience this, and we get to see this amazing statue be unveiled for all the world to see.
I'm just excited to see my Lord and Savior Baphomet represented in such glorious Italian stone. I do hope his eyes gaze upon me, and that my allegiance is recognized. I don't know. Notice me, senpai! Notice me! Part of me wishes that angel statue would come to life, and King Baphomet would rise, and two eternal juggernauts would do battle right here in the middle of the city. But for what is this battle raging, you ask? I don't know. What stands at the center? To that I say, my soul is at the center, offered up to the ageless ones, only to be torn in twain. It's like you can't have one without the other, you know? Like I'm equal parts God and the devil. A cloak of shame covers this man, and only supreme light will wash my body clean. But how could that light possibly reach me with the thick clouds of indecency that surround my poor soul? So I carry my wrongdoings on my back like some kind of tormented hiker, lost in the hills of misfortune, looking desperately for that peak to rescue him from the valley of depraved habitual self-pleasuring. But again, I find nothing except for sweaty, devastated loneliness and 1,000 judging eyes staring back at me from the cover of a stolen Victoria's Secret catalog. I didn't take your mail, Mrs. Pemberton. Stop asking me that. Leave me alone! Satan's pretty cool.
Now, it's important to note that the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. The Satanic Temple wants to take the statue to Arkansas, the state capital there. There is a monument to the Ten Commandments. They want to put the statue next to it as a form of protest. So again, the Satan statue will not stay here in Detroit. Reporting live, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, the controversy will move south.
A big hello to YouTube and all my friends and anybody who's new. We got to talk about this. It's about a week old article, about 9 days. I chose this one off the Christian Science Monitor, as you can see. Remember I've said before, it's like a cosmic chess game. Evil makes a move. God counters the evil move. Evil sees God's move. Evil tries to counter God. But what we have here is a artist's rendition of a proposed statue which a bunch of Satanists have applied to place this at our state capitol here in Oklahoma. We have a monument of the Ten Commandments at the state capitol, and they would like to place this right next to it. As your little, pretty short little article, but descriptive and to the point, states, Satanic group unveiled designs for a 7-foot tall of Satan. Wants to put it at the state capitol where the Ten Commandments monument was placed in 2012. This satanic group, based in New York, they submitted their application to a panel that oversees the Capitol grounds. This is depicting Satan as Baphomet, a goat-headed figure with horns, wings, and a long beard, often used as a symbol of the occult. He's sitting in a pentagram-adorned throne, Just so happens he's got smiling children next to him. This monument has been designed to reflect the views of Satanists in Oklahoma City and beyond. Their spokesman's name is Lucian. Kind of an off-spin of Lucifer, huh? Wonder if that's his real name or he took that name. It will also have a functional purpose as a chair where people of all ages may sit on the lap of Satan for inspiration and contemplation. The Satanic Temple maintains that the Oklahoma legislature's decision to authorize a privately funded Ten Commandments monument at the Capitol is basically why they're doing it, open the door for its statue. The Oklahoma chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union has sued to have it removed. And I believe I read in today's paper that there is an atheist group that is also trying to get in on this. And I believe the atheist group wants to put their little atheist monument there. Then there's a couple little podunk groups that are just smear groups, just spitting in the face of God, that want to put a little podunk monument of their own there. As you can see, there's a little video here you can watch off this site, and you can hear their little ideas they've got. Oh, here they are. There's a Hindu leader in Nevada who made a request. Yeah, he wants to put a monument there for the Hindus. And this is the satirical church of the flying spaghetti monster. God is not going to be pleased with any of these people. So they placed a moratorium considering any new request, which is just, it's probably going to just amount to a delay. You can still make it, but they're going to hold off on considering it until the lawsuit is over with. And people here, well, to be honest, most people I've talked to are definitely against this satanic monument. But unfortunately, there are some that don't think right. They don't really care. They kind of chuckle and laugh and make fun of it. But they do not see the error of their ways. And yes, that's true. I've heard and read many things about this, that they've already got $20,000, or half of the $20,000. I actually read that they had about $16,000 already raised. So the funding is almost there, and they'll get the funding, believe you me. On its website, the Satanic Temple is saying it is seeking to separate religion from superstition by acknowledging religious belief as a metaphorical framework, which you construct a narrative context for our goals and works. And they are saying Satan stands as the ultimate icon for selfless revolt against tyranny, free and rational inquiry, the responsible pursuit of happiness. Lies, lies, and more lies. Now, this is just another classic example, folks, of what is going on all over the world. There's evil all over the world. The moral decay of this country and its people, and from what I see all over the world, but speaking of where we live in the USA, is going really fast. It is decaying and getting worse. People are not returning to good beliefs. There are those that are, but it seems like more are not. They are more of the world. And this guy, God gave him some type of dominion to a degree. Remember, he tempted Christ with all the kingdoms of the world. So, we are left with a choice. And here's your choice. There's only two. Right or wrong. Good or evil. The Lord or the devil. It's always been just two choices. What choice are you going to make? Or have you already made one? Do you know somebody that needs to make one? Nothing's worse than losing your soul. Everybody will make a choice. If you haven't made it, you will at some point. You need to think long and hard about what's going on. This is just a little tidbit that has wormed its way into my state. I always knew there were satanic groups in the larger cities. There's probably one right here in my town that I don't know about. But when you start erecting statues like this, you're in dangerous territory, definitely. I'm stunned by it, actually. Whenever I saw this article, it just floored me. Now, the more terrible thing of it is, I got a bad feeling that when this moratorium's over, and this lawsuit is done, the way things are going, probably the Supreme Court of Oklahoma is probably, just got that bad feeling that they're going to say either remove the Ten Commandment monument from the Capitol and there'll be no monuments placed there at all. That's choice A they can make. Or B, they can say, well, if they have the right to put a monument there, then all different religions have the right to put monuments up. So, I just got a feeling if they let that Ten Commandment monument stay, they're going to end up giving the okay for them to build this monument. So I hate to say it, I wish they had some gonads, some testicular fortitude, to say no to this monument, to say no to the Hindu, to say no to the flying spaghetti monster, to say no to everything else that is not of the Lord. I'd even go as far as to say maybe I would even hope that they might say take the Ten Commandments monument down. No monuments at all, if it would prevent this monument, this blasphemous monument of this ass, this rebel, this cause of all the world's problems from the beginning of man, if it would prevent that from going up there, I wouldn't be happy to see the Ten Commandments monument taken down. But if it prevented this one from going up, I could be hip with it. Well, if they do put it up, I hope that people group together, Christians, God lovers, the faithful, somehow, some way, I would hope if they let it go up that they get rid of it. And I would hope that if they ever tried to put another one up, that every time they did, they'd keep getting rid of them. We got to stand together. And I just really can't tell you how disgusted I am that a satanic arm all the way in New York City, New York, is reaching down here to the Midwest, wanting to place their mark, their little God monument, their little Satan monument next to something like the Ten Commandments. No monuments of this guy should ever be allowed, but you know they are. So what do you guys think? What is your thoughts on it? You see how things are going. Not to mention, they recently, it's probably going to be allowed, but they've also recently said it was unconstitutional to ban gays from being married here. So it's not going to be a surprise when that goes through.
Few people realize the ominous connection between serial killer Charles Manson and the Son of Sam. If Charles Manson is the most notorious serial killer on the West Coast, David Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam, is the most infamous serial killer on the East Coast. New York City began to truly live up to its name as the city that never sleeps, as David Berkowitz gunned down his victims over a number of months. The Son of Sam was merciless and unrelenting as he continued to pile up victims and frustrate New York City law enforcement. Many in law enforcement know, though, that the Son of Sam murders were done by more than Berkowitz alone.
If Son of Sam was a nut job, why are there 3 cars, 5 different descriptions, different height, different shapes, different sizes of the perpetrator? If somebody else was there.
After being captured, David Berkowitz would eventually admit that he was a Satanist working with the same satanic cult that Charles Manson was affiliated with, known as the Process.
They were high-level occultists, high-level Satanists, high-level process people.
Approximately how many people were at this meeting, all told?
Well, maybe...
in rough numbers?
A couple dozen.
And process members and leaders were there too, and they struck up the plan?
I had sold myself to the devil. I was in the infantry in the United States Army, and you were trained if you got caught, you just give the enemy your name, rank, and serial number. And that's what Satan does to you.
Berkowitz had given addresses and pictures of his family to cult members and explained that their process was to kill family members if he was disloyal.
I was concerned for my family too, you know. And if they feel you are endangering their organization, In my heart, they would hold no punches about killing me.
Like serial killer Charles Manson, Berkowitz had willingly given his soul to the devil.
I had sold myself to the devil. Satan had been reaching out to me. He had chosen me for something. He was preparing the way for me to do something for him long before I even had any knowledge of his existence, you see. And it just seemed like everything that happened it was like destiny. It was my destiny. I just feel this powerful force was just moving me along to just push me in that direction. Somebody had told me to get a copy of the Satanic Bible. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a Satanic Bible. And he told me to go to a bookstore. It's in any bookstore. I went and got a copy of that and began to read it. And things began to change. It's like a power or force began to actually reach out to me and kind of take charge over my life, kind of move me along. It was a process that took a while, and I did begin to take vows. For a while, I had begun to be partaker of the group with chanting and rituals and various incantations. There were animal sacrifices and other dark and ugly things happening.
Like Charles Manson, who also associated with the process, Berkowitz acknowledged that they were seeking to foster an atmosphere of lawlessness to help facilitate the emergence of the Antichrist.
And this was a time when they began to think about maybe even taking human lives, human sacrifices. We believe that the devil's right-hand man, his key player in these like end times or so forth, is going to come on the scene one day. Our idea was to create an atmosphere where there's lawlessness and disorder everywhere.
Berkowitz said of the satanic cult he belonged to that they are, quote, secretive and bonded together by a common need and a desire to mete out havoc on society. He said it was Aleister Crowley who said, "I want blasphemy, murder, rape, revolution, anything bad. Surely you will agree that death literally followed Crowley's footsteps," end quote. When Berkowitz revealed the place where they were conducting their satanic rituals, they not only found evidence of animal sacrifices, but they found symbols like those used in the Church of Satan, upside-down pentagrams, and inverted crosses. Berkowitz admitted of the cult's satanic practices, quote, "This group contained a mixture of satanic practices which included the teachings of Aleister Crowley. It was, still is, totally blood-oriented. The Coven's doctrines are a blend of ancient Druidism, which we've seen mentioned by Charles Manson, and the teachings of the Golden Dawn, a group to which Aleister Crowley belonged, and black magic." When the site was later investigated, amidst the satanic graffiti, this piece of paper was found, declaring, quote,
"Woe to you, O earth and sea. For the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
The words that you just heard were taken from an album by the popular heavy metal band Iron Maiden. This declaration from the album precedes an Iron Maiden song which speaks of ritual sacrifice and the emergence of the number of the Antichrist. Incredibly, next to the black pentagram and the painted inverted crosses were the chilling words, quote, "I will return." Apparently these words, "I will return," were taken from another Iron Maiden song that follows on the foot of the one just mentioned, called "The Number of the Beast," a song about sacrifice, another evidence of the influence of music in Satanism. Iron Maiden admitted a year earlier that their music had been influenced by Aleister Crowley. In the Son of Sam letters, they left strange symbols that included an upside-down or inverted cross, and they made special reference to Beelzebub or Satan, their father.
Some of those same people I dealt with, I arrested for promoting prostitution by selling me children for $20 for sex, were later identified as being members in 1976 or affiliates or associates of the process.
One person who David Berkowitz implicated was that of record producer Roy Radin. Radin was extremely wealthy and owned a notorious estate on Long Island. Berkowitz admitted that when they sacrificed Stacy Moskowitz, their plan was to turn it into a snuff film. Berkowitz acknowledged that one of the three men in the film filming the murder was an associate of Roy Radin's. Ron Sisman is the one who is believed to have photographed Moskowitz's sacrifice.
Yeah, some big people wanted to get in on that, and there's some other people taking care of that as far as making arrangements.
They will see the film later on for a set fee. I understand some of those snuff films go for like $50,000.
This time, when the sacrifice had been made, this is all part of the ritual and everything, and there was some filming going on. Somebody wanted to film it for somebody else.
Jesse Turner, a self-confessed process hitman, admitted that he was contracted to kill Ron Sisman by a world-renowned artist.
Who approached you to take care of Ron Sisman?
Robert Mapplethorpe.
Why?
Because Ron Sisman had possession of some snuff film.
The only way that you could get out of this thing was either they killed you off, you killed yourself off with a suicide. Okay? That was the only way to get carried out in a pine box.
So in depth that it would take an army of police officers, or it would take somebody with power, guts, and influence to shut these guys down.
As we can see, the fruit of occultic practices is that of death, murder, and suicide, and eventually eternal damnation in hell. David Berkowitz warned young people of the danger of dabbling in the occult.
Like they're losing their fear of the devil. And this is a grooming process. A lot of kids today have no concept whatsoever of the dangers that are involved in any form of the occult, how quickly a bondage could form, how quickly a person's mind and spirit could be taken over by some kind of